Imagine a world with no distractions, no notifications constantly pinging at you, and nothing to do but the task at hand. Sounds like paradise, right? Well, that's the world ReMarkable wants us all to be living in. This is the ReMarkable Paper Pro Move, a smaller version of the ReMarkable Paper Pro, and it compromises on none of the functionality. I've been using it for about a week and a bit now, and I have some strong thoughts. Most of them are good, some are questionable, and this definitely does take a little bit of getting used to. But before I dive into this really charming tablet, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. That's how you stay on top of everything that I do. Right, what is the ReMarkable Paper Pro Move? It's a 7.3-inch e-ink style tablet, and what sets it apart from a lot of the competition is that it combines that breathy kind of interface that we expect from ReMarkable. It's calm, doesn't fire notifications at you, but still remains connected and is frequently updated with a color display. It's a backlit display as well, and you have this compact form factor. 7.3 inches, 16 by 9. It's also a very unique form factor, so that lends to explain what it does really well, but also what it does not so well, or at least what takes some getting used to. If you know anything about the ReMarkable Paper Pro, you'll know that it uses a canvas color display, or that's ReMarkable's term. It's an e-ink Gallery 3 technology panel. That means you've got 20,000 subtle shades, as ReMarkable puts it, that it can pump out through that display. And it has some benefits. The colors are a bit more saturated than the Kaleido alternatives, and it just has a almost watercolory kind of like richness to it that feels and looks very pleasant. But there is more flickering that takes place, as I'll come on to. Everything you got with a ReMarkable Paper Pro, you're getting with this, for better or for worse. ReMarkable's done a remarkable job of making sure on-screen content is very surface level. Whether you're scribing or looking at text, it feels like it is all taking place just below where the pen touches the glass. And the glass panel on the ReMarkable Paper Pro has a really just gratifying texture to it. ReMarkable showed me under a microscope the degree to which they have honed this texture to make it feel as much like paper as possible, and the whole sensation of writing on this thing is really nice and organic. The pen nibs wear out over time and you get multiple nibs in the box, and that just contributes to the whole experience feeling really nice and organic. That extends to the fact that when you are writing on it, there is minimal latency, except for that flickering like I talked about. So when you draw a color stroke, for example, when your pen nib leaves the screen, I was going to say page, there is a flickering for those colors to set. The Paper Pro Move has an almost identical kind of design ethos to the Paper Pro, with its anodized aluminium frame that has almost paper-like striation, but that also contributes to adding grip when you're holding it, which is more important for this. Holding it one hand, like you can see, I've got big hands, but it's still pretty comfortable. You've got a USB-C port at the base. Up at the top is the power button. Still no fingerprint scanner though, which is a bit of a bugbear I'll come on to. In addition to that, around the back, the texture has been revised. It has almost a satiny feel to it, even though it is a hard plastic texture. You've got 4 rubber stoppers as well, so when this is on a surface it won't slip about. And generally speaking, when you're using the Paper Pro Move like this, it is very comfortable to just write on and feels natural. I grew up with journalist jotters, and this is larger than them, but it feels like an extension thanks to the tall aspect ratio. Now, I've been holding the tablet tall, but when I've been writing with it, actually I've been using it predominantly sideways, and that's because it gives you more screen for document editing, which is what I mainly do, annotate documents. The gyroscope in here, which is very responsive, means that auto rotate works beautifully and really helps with the workflow and compensates for any awkwardness of that taller display. ReMarkable promises up to 3 days of battery life in a 10-minute charge, which sounds great, and 2 weeks in a full charge. But there is a big but. It massively depends on how much you use that backlight. It can zap that all the way down to just over a day if you use it quite a lot, or extend it to the full cycle if it isn't used at all. Diving into the tablet, and ReMarkable software is beautifully minimalistic, and over the years it's kind of built up a collection of intuitive gestures that make the whole experience feel really, really seamless. Since the Paper Pro came out, my favorite gesture that's been included is on the top left, just a 2-finger swipe down pulls up your recent notes. So for me, it's my journal and my workout that I switch between all the time, and they're always in my most recent notes, so I can jump to them very, very quickly. The interface is also quite comprehensive without being overbearing. You don't get any alerts, any notifications, which is a step away from alternatives from Boox, for example. There's also handwriting conversion, text searching, and annotations on PDFs, EPUBs, and also documents that you download from Google Drive. And that's a really big deal for me because I really like editing documents, reviews I've written, scripts I'm writing, for example, using a pen and paper because it gives me a different outlook on things. ReMarkable Methods is also something that I've really appreciated, and that's a curated suite of templates made by community members, curated by ReMarkable and bullet journal. You've got a 2025 calendar, SWOT analysis. There are loads of really handy templates in addition to the pre-installed ones that you can download, and you just pick the ones you want, so it's not going to be overbearing to navigate them on this smaller display. The cross-device cloud syncing is also another real highlight of ReMarkable tablets. Android, iOS, Mac OS, Windows, etc. It's really easy to access the notes on this, and the syncing is, like I said, pretty seamless as soon as it connects to a Wi-Fi network. I found it to be the most reliable out of Boox, Supernote, and indeed ReMarkable, with the least conflict notes created. You'll definitely want to pick up some accessories if you get the ReMarkable Paper Pro. I've got the book folio here. It's available in polymer, mosaic, weave, or premium leather. And also you can pick up the tablet with a standard marker or a Marker Plus, which has the eraser around the back. The main competition for the Paper Pro Move is the Boox Go Color 7, Gen 1 if you don't need pen input, Gen 2 if you do, or the Supernote Nomad. And as you can see, these are very different shapes to the Paper Pro Move. This is a lot wider. It's got a color e-ink display, also backlit. So the tech spec actually compares well. If you go for Supernote, you're getting a monochrome display with no backlight, but a larger 7.8-inch panel. And the whole experience of the two do very, very different things. ReMarkable kind of, in a way, gives you the best of both worlds, and you'd hope it would because it is the most expensive. I haven't covered Supernote on this channel before, and that's to my detriment because I absolutely love this tablet. The Nomad in particular is a very comfortable size. There's a self-healing layer on the display, and ultimately the key difference between this and the ReMarkable, aside from the color and lack of backlight, is the fact that this feels more like pen on paper, whereas the ReMarkable Paper Pro Move and ReMarkable tablets feel more like pencil on paper. There are elements this has, like Kindle support, for example, that you don't get on ReMarkable, but you also don't get a lot of the other integrations. I do prefer ReMarkable's full suite of functionality, but I find the Supernote to be equally as undistracting and arguably more intuitive in areas. So definitely consider the Supernote Nomad if you don't need a backlight or a color display, but want an e-ink notepad that is distraction-free and beautifully charming. The Boox Go Color 7, by contrast, has full access to the Google Play Store, perfect for manga fans, for example. You can link it up to Shonen Jump or Viz and read comics on the go. Color display, very, very good, but the preloaded apps and features are nowhere near as distraction-free. It doesn't have quite the same level of functionality. When it comes to note-taking, it isn't as refined as well, neither in feel nor in experience, even though it is very, very fully featured. So generally, I would look at this less as a notepad on the go, which the ReMarkable Paper Pro Move is, and I'd look at it more as a consumption device rather than a creation device. They're around £300, $300. The Paper Pro Move, by contrast, starts at £399 in the UK, $449 in the US, and that's with the standard marker. If you want to get it with a ReMarkable Marker Plus with that eraser around the back, you're going to be paying £439 in the UK, $499 in the US. So I've talked about the tablet, I've talked about the competition. Now I'm going to talk about what I love and don't love. Kicking off with the love, and the ReMarkable Paper Pro Move's design extends to the accessories as well is really, really beautiful. Take this folio cover, for example. Other folios are flimsy. When you open them, they flip about, flop about. This, when you open it fully on itself, all of the magnets have it seamlessly shut, and then you open it out, and then it just snaps into place subtly without any obtrusive kind of like snaps. The magnets aren't too strong, aren't too weak. And pen clips really securely on the side. You wrap around this magnet. It just, everything comes together to feel premium, and it is a feeling rather than just an impression, a visual impression. That does extend to the tablet as well. Like I said earlier, the satin finish around the back, the sides, they add a comfortable grip, and I can see why ReMarkable went with this aspect ratio when it comes to the in-hand feel specifically. There is a big chin at the bottom. I asked ReMarkable whether that was for kind of thumb placement. They said actually it's a combination of thumb placement and giving you room to breathe on the sides of the tablet, but also a limitation of the technology. So they did admit that, and I do think in future iterations it would be nice to get smaller bezels so that we can have an even more compact experience with this tablet screen size form factor. But the design is just a real thumbs up, and like I said, the accessories really take it to the next level. I also love the portability of the Paper Pro Move. The original Paper Pro was very limited, especially when you had the type cover, which was adding extra bulk. You needed a big bag for it. This, I'm tall, 6'4", actually fits in my baggy jean pocket very comfortably. If you aren't quite so tall, don't have such baggy jeans, you're looking at an inner pocket or a small bag. But that's a very different use case scenario to the Paper Pro, and the fact it shares notes, shares experiences, unlocks your notes for spaces that you wouldn't be able to access them before, which is very good and could be a beautiful addition to people who are already using the Paper Pro. And I see this definitely as a supplement for the Paper Pro rather than a replacement. I mentioned this earlier, the cloud access and specifically the Google Drive integration is one of the best things for me. I've been using it way more than I thought I would, like I said, to edit and annotate documents that I've written, or I'll create something in ChatGPT, throw it into a Google Doc. I would prior edit it at my computer or on a tablet with a beaming backlight in my face. Now, when I'm on the go, on the train, I just fire it up on my Paper Pro Move, hold the tablet sideways, and I can edit really comfortably without having such a distracting interface to deal with. Really, really great connectivity across OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox as well, and there's new Slack integration too. Then there's the interface, and I'm not just talking about what the interface is now, I'm talking about what it'll become. Typically, I wouldn't recommend getting a product for its potential, but ReMarkable's proven over the years that it continues to add value to its devices in a way very few other brands do. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this tablet evolves and how the features that are added to this cascade through the entire ReMarkable family. And that was a bit of a sales pitch for ReMarkable, but it really is born out of my own experience with the brand. There are a few things I don't like about the Paper Pro Move though, and the first thing is something I mentioned about the Paper Pro, and it's a lack of fingerprint scanner. I get it, ReMarkable doesn't want to be too smart, but having to punch in a passcode every time I use my tablet if I want my notes secured is just too much of an ask for something that is meant to be seamlessly slotting into my life, which the Paper Pro Move does for the most part. There's also the brightness, and the brightness ramping is really uneven. Again, this was an issue with the Paper Pro. Up to around 40%, or what the gauge says 40%, is nothing really happens. Even in a pitch black environment, it's hard to see what's on screen at those brightness levels. And then from like 50% up, it starts to make a difference, but it ramps up too quickly. I really wish that the tablet display ramped up gradually so I had a bit more control over the brightness, and in turn, that would probably give me a little bit more control over battery saving. You'll want to bear in mind the Connect subscription costs $2.99 a month after the last 100 days, and behind that paywall are a lot of really, really integral features for my use cases. It's a bit of a no-brainer for me, but it is still an extra payment that you'll have to be making to get the best out of your tablet, which not everyone will be okay with. My biggest issue with the Paper Pro Move, however, is the aspect ratio, which is weird because that's also one of my favorite things about it. But when you start writing a note on the Paper Pro Move, it centers the page and it crops in a little bit so you have margin either side. Then when you come to edit it on the ReMarkable Paper Pro, you have this margin on either side. I would much rather it had been left aligned, or I had the option to have the default left align it so that I had then a margin for annotation just on the right hand side when I came to my Paper Pro. This sounds like it's not a big deal, but actually when you end up having a load of documents that when you view them on a big tablet that just have a little stream of writing down the middle, it can be quite awkward. As a result, what I ended up doing a lot is creating new documents I knew I'd be editing on my Paper Pro sideways, and then you have that full view. You definitely have to get used to the smaller screen, but specifically the different aspect ratio. It doesn't slot into the workflow as well as I hoped it would. You don't have this issue with the Supernote Nomad and Mansit, for example, because they are the same aspect ratio. You don't have that issue with other competing devices, and indeed the ReMarkable Paper Pro and the ReMarkable 2. So this is a new kind of like confusion that is thrown into the mix for your workflow. You will probably find workarounds relatively quickly. A week in, I found workarounds and I'm finding my groove with it, and it will only get easier, but it's still a consideration. What saves the day is the gyroscope and the auto rotate feature. If I had to manually rotate every time I wanted to turn the page, it would be such a faff. But now I can easily see a note in full screen like this, and it displays in a very comfortable view, or I can see the cropped version of the note or a very small version of the note by simply turning it around. So you will get used to it, and the gyroscope helps, but it's something you will need to get used to. And that's what I think about the ReMarkable Paper Pro just over a week into use. It is a beautifully crafted tablet, suite of accessories and interface experience that comes together to declutter your environment, your digital environment, in a way no other tablet with a backlight and a color screen do. But it isn't without its quirks, like I said, that flickering, and also getting used to that aspect ratio. I'm really excited to integrate this into my workflow a lot more. I know I need a detox from all of the digital overload I have, and this feels like a very good tool to work in conjunction with a Paper Pro to give me that. I'm going to keep using it. So if you've got any questions about it, please do fire them in the comments section. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do click that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel to stay on top of everything that I do. Have a wonderful day.